Welcome to The First Turn. I'm your host, Hyena, and today, Llama and I are talking about This Week in Warhammer. If you like what you hear, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share, or let us know if there's something you'd like to hear us talk about. Alright, let's get to it.
Hey, welcome to The First Turn. This is Hyena.
This is Llama.
And we are sitting down here on a Friday afternoon to catch the Worlds Preview for Warhammer. Stream has just begun. We are seeing the folks up starting their thing with
Sitting
their
in
panel.
their chairs.
Yep. It looks like the format might be back to normal a little bit.
That would be great.
That'd be great. We were talking about that last week about wanting the format to change and go back to show us just models and have a separate thing for the deep dive in.
Yeah, when they do the designer commentary videos later, those are fine.
Right.
But don't do it during the presentation.
Like we said, it's like focus on doing the core thing of what the preview is during the preview and not.
That's why they
all the
always.
extra
That's why they
stuff.
always felt so rewarding
Yeah.
when you went to Adepticon the day early and made it to the event as you saw models.
Yep.
So here we go.
Automatically begin. We've got some silhouettes of a model.
Is this Old World? No,
Unsure.
40K. Okay, 40K first.
Okay, so we're seeing the Kriegers. We knew Astra Militarum was
We
coming.
we suspected,
and they
yeah.
even said specifically Krieg. It looks like some infantry. Looks
In an
like
army
some,
set, just like we thought.
Some heavy weapon teams.
Yeah.
We've got some
Well, tell you what,
trenchers. We've got some heavy weapons. We've got your Death Riders. Which
these
are
immediately all look great.
which are the mutated chem horses.
Yeah.
They've got claws instead of hooves.
I
Love
see
it.
conversions.
Yeah. But yeah, Astra Militarum supplement, essentially. It's an army set, so it's got some heavy weapon teams. It's got some infantry, a command squad. It's got
Oh, look at that.
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. Heavy weapon squad. And it's its own box.
Well, look at that. Did you see they did that retro art
Yeah.
for the book?
Yeah. Love it. I love it. So
That's the way to do it.
I believe we did mention that was probably what we were going to get. And
Yeah, you assumed they would get that box before the codex comes out.
100%. Like it's a great way to do it. Look at Kroot as an example. Hell, the box might even include an early codex.
Yeah, this is what that book was, I
You know?
believe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, see? Yep.
with the retro art. Yeah, that looks
Yeah.
cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's super
But
nice.
but yeah, I mean, we've had a sort of a blueprint for this for a while now. Come
Yeah,
out with
and
the
I
new
like it.
Army expansion. It includes just that stuff plus your early book. It's not valid until the book fully comes out, but it's a little advanced knowledge, you know. So yeah, I mean, like we said before, Krieg are a fan favorite. I'm personally, it's my favorite. Not only aesthetic, but like theme for an army. I mean, it feels so 40K.
It does.
You know what I mean? Like more so than Cadia, more so than any of the other like legions for the guard. Krieg feel 40K to me.
Well, yeah, and they've got the obvious signatures or the obvious points to World War II themes because you've got the German bell helmets and the like gas masks and whatnot. But thematically for Astra Militarum, it's just great. And
Just fighting over dust and
Yeah.
radiated planet. You know, like
I really like just how much variety they have in their army now.
Yeah.
Because they got a bunch of new kits last time around.
Yeah.
That updated old stuff, and now.
Yeah, pretty much fully fleshed out the Cadian aesthetic.
Yeah.
Which included a new tank. It included new Sentinels, new heavy weapon teams, new heavy weapon teams.
Yeah.
Like lots and lots of stuff. But it was all Cadia, right?
Yep.
It was all fatigues and
Flak jackets
flak
and- yeah.
jackets. Breastplates basically.
But they did do a unit of the other kind of Rough Riders.
Yeah.
And then
The Attilan.
And then now we've got, of course, a new unit of Scions that are updated. And now you got this whole line of Krieger stuff. Like
So
the
this
Astra
one has,
Militarum sitting
again,
really nice.
the Death Riders, which are Krieg themed Rough Riders.
Yep. With their grenade spears.
Yeah, their grenade spears. Yep. Yeah, they look great.
But even those sort of taloned horses, I think with some modifications, you could have some neat chaos slaves to darkness conversions there.
Absolutely.
Like Dark Oath.
Skaven. I'm seeing Skaven in the horse head.
Could those be more rat ogres? Everything can be a rat ogre.
It could be a rat ogre. Yep.
Yeah. So right off the bat, this preview event, for those who are watching, feels a lot more like the way they used to do it. They're still showing the miniatures in a way that's a bit cinematic instead of just a turntable, but they're giving us great pictures
so far,
of all of them.
We've seen like 20 pictures of these.
In different angles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like 100% this is
and
this is what we want to see in showcasing.
They're talking alongside the showcase, which is what we want.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Must have had some feedback.
Makes me more excited for Milwaukee again.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Milwaukee for the first time, which is where Adepticon will be this year.
Yep.
Which one of the conventions used to be in Milwaukee, didn't it? And they moved.
Well,
it's kind of interesting.
So early 90s, Gen Con used to be there.
Yeah. Which I think is really funny because here in the Midwest, when you're doing a convention, sidetrack while they're still talking about the same models.
On to the next model, they said.
There's only so many convention centers here in the Midwest.
Correct.
And so as a convention gets bigger, they kind of bounce between the same locations. And where Gen Con is right now, I could see potentially Adepticon moving into that spot in a few years as it gets big enough,
If it keeps growing like
Gen
that.
Con used to be in some of the same spots that Adepticon is in and is going to be moving into. They've been in those same spaces.
And cities bid on it too because they want them. It's both a hassle and a huge moneymaker.
Right.
But okay, so these are big heavy weapon teams.
Yeah. So they had the heavy weapon platforms released alongside the new heavy weapon teams.
Yeah.
For Cadia. Maybe they're the same guns. Maybe they're different ones.
Well, they explained some of the rules down there, so I'm wondering if they will have slightly different.
That would be really interesting.
I imagine as far as the WYSIWYG aspect of it is, you could probably use whichever and nobody would care.
I think they said 4 different weapons on it, which I think the heavy weapon platform that they currently have only has 3 different guns. So it's got to have different rules.
Yeah, it looked like even slightly different weapons. So, again, just nice variety.
Yep.
Those combat engineers look great.
Yep.
They got
it's your trenchers. They got mines.
They got shotguns there.
Yep, shotguns and mines. That's and there's I see a flamethrower.
And you can see even what the heavy metal team did there, where the masks are slightly different. They've got a skull motif on them. Yeah. Yeah. No, these look spectacular. It's weird. We expected it, but then seeing them, it's like, oh yeah. And here we go, the white gallery shot.
Love it.
This is a preview event, though. I'm already just enjoying this now. This is how it's supposed to look.
Woo!
Now to explain a little bit about the rules. Okay, so going a little more in depth, instead of just showing off the models and explaining design thoughts, they're also talking about how they're going to play. Is that a little drone next to him?
It's a mobile like trench mine.
That's fun
because it had like it had like a little drill wheel on it. And I think it either moves it around or it clears other mines or something.
So Lord Marshall, and he had a name. He's got his like cutlass looking thing, and there's a generic version, I'm guessing. Okay.
Is he working with the Necrons in that picture?
I don't know.
Because they're like standing beside them, not like riding away from
I wonder
them.
if that's showing off that like because there was another 40K game mode that like was sort of team-ish. I wonder if that's a picture for that. Because they're kind of like running alongside them there.
That's funny. Dreer is his name. I wonder if he'll make a generic one as well as to the named version.
Yeah.
Is that some the train behind him there? That looked like Warcry train.
Well, maybe just mixing everything here.
Which, you think about it. Like the latest season of Warcry was sort of in a similar environment that the Kriegers actually operate in. Sort
of, a lot of Death Worlds.
Yeah, sort of just kind of like wasteland, sort of lots of natural materials that you can't, land your prefab stuff in.
Right. Interesting. They've got that barbed wire and stuff on his base. Yeah. I wonder if that comes with it, or
I think they did. It looks like a sort of a diorama type.
Yeah.
Sort of base behind him.
Which means you could probably
kind of try to mimic artwork.
Yeah, which means you could probably leave it off if you want to do your own. But that's always neat that they incorporate a little more scene into the characters.
Yeah. Especially if it's a name character, I'm completely down for. Yeah. Look what they did with some of the special edition ones, like when they did the couple of dwarves for Cities of Sigmar, when they did both the White Dwarf and
Gotrek.
Gotrek. They actually came with 2 separate types of bases, where it was one was play based, one was scenic based, and they were on a mound of corpses or
whatever. They did it with ones like Be'lakor where he's literally on a staircase.
Yeah.
Oh, this looks like it's been a while in the making because like all that detail looks really well thought out.
Yeah.
And with the new Cadians next to him, like
and don't forget about the new Ratlings they're showing off there too. They have the Ratling kill team.
Okay,
actually,
so they are fighting the Necrons. They're not alongside them.
Well, in this one they are. Yeah. The other one I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in combination with the Cadians, like that just what a roster now. Because that was one that before last edition was pretty long in the tooth.
Yeah. I mean, we're looking at these kind of cinematic videos, and there's not a single duplicate across the entire thing. It's all different units.
Yeah.
There was 6 or 7 tanks there, and each tank was a different one.
Oh, stream stuck.
It might be playing an ad for us.
Oh.
Because that still happens, But yeah, man, that was what a roster. What a massive roster they have now.
Yeah. Absolutely love it.
And like you said, with them all kind of like lined up next to one another, it really doesn't feel out of place. Like anything. Like even though they're all different regiments.
Because you know they both had to work the same stuff together. I mean,
right.
Oh yeah, it's at an ad. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, it's supposed to be between.
So are they gonna? Does that mean they're still going? Because they don't know when an ad's popping up, right?
I hope not.
And they'll come back and be like, so that was Age of Sigmar.
Oh,
moving on.
Man, that would be disappointing.
Yeah. The movie trailer they're showing is that Wicked.
It's got it's got Jeff Goldblum in it.
The retelling of the origin of the Wicked Witch of the West.
They're kind of.
Well, I mean, he's under a Disney contract for a long time.
Oh yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just keep throwing him in wherever they can.
But it's kind of like what they did with Dalmatians.
Yep.
Kind of a prequel of the
origin of the villain. Yep.
Did it end?
That can't be.
I think they actually ended the stream instead of moving on to the next thing.
Whoops.
Because it lets me watch some videos of their recent streams.
Oh, that's goofy.
Interesting. Well, that was the 40K one.
Which only took 11 minutes.
Which, I mean, I don't like looking at chat.
Yeah, it's not even up on Twitch right now, like as an option.
Yeah. Yeah, they
accidentally killed their own stream.
Yep. All right, so we'll wait a little bit here before we...
Oh, there's an ad still. I found it.
Let's go and do the needful. Do some refreshing. Oh, they did keep going, so that's cool.
So we've got servo skulls and a big scroll of something.
Neat. If I had to guess, based on that,
they're still showing off Kriegs. Okay, still showing. So those are the smaller weapon teams.
Twin Link Stubber, Las Cannon. Okay, so didn't miss much. They're just showing off more of the same.
Yeah.
All right. They have a heavy flamer, heavy weapon team. That looks. I love the more industrial style that the Krieg bring to. They're more function over like style.
Yep.
And it's just I very much prefer that type of art style because to me, 40K is more like that, right?
Yep.
It's function. When they redid Necromunda, they made everything too pretty. That was my biggest.
Certainly with that faction that has the almost Eldar looking technology, like Vansar or whatever.
Them.
Yeah.
I mean, but hell, even the the Goliaths. It's like this equipment is all in way too good. Why does everyone have a bolter? Why is everyone their equipment is too good?
They're in really high tech stuff, even though they live in the dregs of an undercity.
High tech for 40K, even.
Yeah.
It's just like this doesn't have the same feel to it.
So now they're talking about indexes for Deathwatch. So they're gonna put them on their own again?
Maybe? I'm unsure. They were talking about Chaos Demons and Grey Knights having something. We missed something when the stream went down.
Yeah. So now they're going to do the old world.
So, well, I guess we'll have to catch up on what they were talking about with that later.
Because I don't want to make a statement and then we were way off.
So the Empire is what was showed off there. Demigryph Knights, the Griffin General, which is still currently in the
so they're going to get
Index,
their journal.
Yeah, Arcane Journal. Interesting that they have the Griffin.
So that's returning to.
But we have no idea if it's leaving.
We don't.
Cities of Sigmar.
And the stream
is down again. Man, this is...
So this is like the Tyson Paul fight where the stream just kept going down in the middle of it.
Yeah.
In the middle of the card.
Wow. All right.
That's funny.
Huh. But it brings up a good point, though, because, I mean, they're clearly... They want to have things be in places one or the other.
Yep.
But like we saw with some of the leaks, I guess, some of the rumors of Slaves of Darkness, they're getting rid of the chariots, but they're not. They're getting rid of some stuff, but they're not. Some of the stuff is going back to the old world, but like the chariots are sticking around. I don't know. It's interesting that they've kind of broken some of their design ideal
that they have
to keep models in both systems. Demigryph Knights, obviously, going back to Old World. You have all the old Empire stuff is going back. The cannons coming back. The Hell Rocket batteries are coming back, which were all cut from AOS. The General and Griffin and the Wild Mage are coming back.
Yeah. So
but then there's like this, the steam tank and the war shrines and the Luminarchs and stuff. They're all in the Old World, but they're also still in Cities of Sigmar.
We don't have an updated battle tome for Cities of Sigmar yet, though. I still think they might see quite a pruning. For now, they're illegal in both.
In my mind, I think probably anything that existed in the Old World is not safe.
Correct.
In Cities of Sigmar. Or, I mean, in not Lands, but Age of Sigmar. I don't think anything going forward is going to be old fantasy stuff anymore.
No, I agree.
So keep that in mind when you're going out looking at kits and stuff, because it's like, I think they have a shelf life.
And we wanted that earlier.
I wanted that so much earlier.
But but at the same time, they probably had to wait until they had this.
Yeah.
So because then it doesn't invalidate your kit.
I think that's a new kit.
Yeah, it's Forge World Resin.
It's a world. Okay. They remastered an old kit for the gun hauler.
Yeah.
Like the hauled gun rig.
Which in Total War, by the way, is one of the worst units in the game.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It was super cool when it first came out.
Yeah.
With the Marcus versus
Wolfheart.
Nakai. Was that the?
Yep. Because it was
Or was it Lithanar?
No, it was. It might have been all three, but
I thought it was like two ranged heroes against one another.
Well, it was Marcus was a monster hunter.
Yeah, but he has like a
traveling to the New World.
Or he has like a longbow, right? Like that magical longbow he's got.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I haven't used him in a while.
He was an Empire character who actually had like some very elfy abilities. He had net and he had the single target sniping arrow shot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So we called that. And this is what I expected. I expected Old World to be. They're going to announce the new Arcane Journal, show a bunch of old models going back.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Remastered a couple. I didn't see any new character models in there. Maybe there's one.
Yeah. I don't know. Looks mostly just remastered.
Maybe that guy on foot cleaning his sword's new. I don't know.
Or repacked stuff.
But they showed off a lot of the warrior priests and stuff like that coming back, which were fine cast.
She tiptoed to be quiet. Is that that?
Excuse me. They're hinting at a couple new things for the Empire.
Yep. I mean, they did that with dwarves where they just trickled out a few new heroes.
Here's the thing. And by the way, here's a new resin character weeks later.
Yeah. This this is the format they need to go with.
Yep.
Oh, Horus Heresy now.
All right, so they're going to the Solar Auxilia. It looks like they're doing some vehicles in plastic now.
Which we thought.
The Malkador Infernus, which is a big like
The Valdor tank destroyer. So
very similar chassis, I believe.
So we didn't call specifics, but what I did say is I think it was just going to be, imagine a bunch of Forge World models that were in 30K, picture them coming to plastic. That's what we're getting.
Absolutely. The Daredeo is getting a couple more weapon options.
Yeah, which were otherwise hard to get.
Which is fine. A bunch of heavy tanks for Ashmel Terram, and then they have the ship. I forget what it's called. But little lander ship.
Yep.
Cool. I mean, they've kind of exhausted what they can do with Knights, what they can do with Space Marines.
Yeah.
And really it's the extra stuff that's around the Marines that are going to be getting updated. It was either going to be Mechanicus or it was going to be the Solar Auxilia. This time it's Solar Auxilia.
The paint job's interesting they did there, because if you look at the wings, they actually did dramatic shadows on each panel.
If you look, actually, I think it's like drag grime from the thing flying.
Yep.
They did like the horizontal grime lines from when the ship is moving.
Well, and even just the lighting on the panel is dramatic.
Yeah.
And then they went with that really bright metallic for the engines.
That's a killer paint job, actually.
Yeah, really, really well done.
Very dramatic. I mean, very striking. You can see they like heavily panel lined.
Yeah, and look at those panels underneath where it goes from light gray to a dark brown. Yeah. And it's something that when you look at heavy metal box art, because they have several teams in their studio that some do just all the models and end up in the background or as filler, and then they have specific models that go to the heavy metal team that they and you look at it on a box art and be like, this looks cool, and then someone will see what colors it is, and then they're like, how come mine doesn't look like that?
Right.
And it's not because they have a secret. They don't benefit by not telling you how they paint models, but it's because they push it a lot farther.
Yeah. But it is funny, though, because they might be those same 6 colors that they start with, but they need 20 other ones.
Yeah.
And they don't list that out on the box because you only have limited space. It's like, this is the colors you generally need to make this team.
When they have to make it approachable. Like, it'd be overwhelming if they put
26 paints
38 colors and then the steps and then because they're doing dramatic lighting, they're doing
even look at that metal, like the gold plate.
Yep.
See how bright it is in the middle, and then it's kind of they shaded it to the ends.
And yet they still do it in a way that's safe. Yeah. So like where you might see a display painter on the internet do that is they might use radically different colors and whatever. They stay in the same vein, and so it looks like they didn't use more than one color, but they really did. Which gives it all that visual interest. But yeah, no, these paint jobs on these Horus Heresy models are really good. But yeah,
some decent like freehand on there too. So it looks really good.
So far, nothing too surprising. Because we thought Krieg, we thought Next Arcane Journal, and then we thought pick a bunch of old models in Heresy and make them plastic.
Yep. Old Forge World stuff that's now plastic is exactly what they generally choose to do for.
That is the biggest flamer ever.
Yeah. So big that it needs an extra little car being pulled behind it
for the fuel.
Yeah. But you know what? That makes sense because that makes it easier to change the fuel when it runs out, right?
Also gives the enemy a target.
Yeah, that's a problem. It should be flashing, and kind of blinking so that that's the weak spot you need to shoot at.
Or put hazard stripes on it so you know. The Daredeo getting all these weapon options in plastic is great. Because before they were perpetually sold out, or you had to show up to their booth at a con and hope they had them in resin, so they'd be warped. They'd be difficult.
And it wasn't even
to
the
clean.
body of the Dreadnought. It was literally just the arms.
And it would cost $60 just to get the arms.
That's rough.
So the plastic just gives them a lot more freedom because those look really good.
Yep. Now the Daredeo Dreadnought is one of the weirdest ones.
Yep.
In terms of like.
Where it
design style for the.
It looks like the old world dwarf boat sitting on legs.
Yeah. Yeah. It's odd.
The body is just so bizarre. And no, I think that's the.
Call it a Duradio.
Maybe that's how the Brits say it.
Maybe.
Now that chassis design
Aluminum.
where it's got that sloped angle.
Uh-huh.
I mean, now that's a theory. Someone listening would probably correct me, but that was a thematic design that the Russians used in World War II on their tanks. Was that slope design was good at deflecting
Right.
artillery rounds. So Cruel Boys, we're in Age of Sigmar now.
Yep.
We see what looks like quite a Cruel Boys update.
Looks like a general orc update.
Yeah, there's Iron Jaws too.
So that boss is on a smaller base than he was on before. There's a new character for the Swamp Orcs, Cruel Boys. Wow. Okay, they went back on their idea. Looks like War Clans is still a combined battle tome instead of being split up.
Yeah, so the Iron Jaws are getting their own
interesting.
spearhead, but they're still a part of the Auric War Clans army.
So initially what they had said was, we're doing 2 indexes for orcs.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Anyway. Interesting.
Boss Towers, new faction terrain for each Iron Jaws and Cruel Boys. Looks like it's one kit that makes 2 different.
Maybe. I don't know. They're so different. It'd be wild to me if this is the same kit, because they're so radically different in terms of like even the base construction of it looks so different.
Well, let's see when they show us the other one here. So it's like sticks and chicken bones there.
But it's interesting because if this is the same book, is it 2 separate armies?
Oh yeah, see the legs are the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
The front like jaw is different.
Yep.
I think the Cruel Boys one has an extra like wooden face mask that goes on the skull in the back.
Probably, yeah.
So it might just be actually a couple bits different.
Okay. That's a really unique idea.
Yeah.
And so fitting of Oryx
Yeah.
to have a tower. That's just a very orky thing.
But initially they did say that while the indexes for Cruel Boys and Iron Jaws were together when they were initially released, they were going to split the armies up into 2 different ones.
Yeah.
And now it's like, whoops, we decided not to do that. Now there are still 1 army.
So there's their new endless spells.
Yeah. So you've got the Foot of Gork. You've got
Obvious,
some acid pools of some kind. Yeah. Fitting.
The Gork Aurora.
All right.
Interesting.
So, interesting. I mean, to me, all of those scream Cruel Boys, not Iron Jaws.
They said both factions use them.
Yeah.
That was probably just for
I guess
simplicity.
that must be why they decided to keep them in the same book together, is because both of them can use it.
Yeah, and then the Iron Jaws are getting their own spearhead.
Which
so
is
just
fine.
like Dark Oath's got their own.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly the kind of stuff you think would be in there.
Mm-hmm.
Is he on a smaller base?
I can't tell.
I can't tell either.
I think the commemorative boss they did was on a smaller one than the regular one.
Well, so it was weird. The commemorative one they came out with was on like a 60 mil, which is still a large base.
Dreadnought base.
The one that he came with when they first released him, he was on like an 80.
It was huge.
It was like it was absurd. It was like it was a mistake. That boss is the old one there, and he's on a 60. So I wonder if they're going to change the base size, because I hated that the boss was on that big of a base, because he didn't fit places.
No,
he didn't fit with wholly within things. He was hard to get in.
Okay, and here's the Hobgrot Slita boss.
Yeah. So the Hobgrots have kind of been a little bit of an afterthought, because they only had a single unit from the original starter box of Cruel Boys. Nothing synergized with them at all.
No, and they had a little grenade throwing thing, and then they had their little daggers.
That's it. Well, now they're getting a character to actually go along with them. And I don't like the little basing design, the bones and stuff, but the model itself is fine. I like his big ass sword. That's cool.
It's weird. We have lamented the whole like you have to buy a $60 book to unlock the code to use it in the app. And then they went a step further. They created a second paperback print of the book.
Yeah.
that's supposed to be smaller, more convenient, and you can get the cards with either of them. But why did they have to make a different size and print run of cards to go with the smaller book when you're already printing a deck of cards that you can buy separately?
Yeah, I don't know.
Extra print.
I would loved if it was a slim, just the rules, pamphlet style book that didn't have all the lore and the paint schemes and stuff in it. That just gave you the rules for the damn army. That was $25 or something, instead of 60. I'd love a play version of the rules then if they were going to keep doing print. But
yeah,
so it looks like in addition to that, they're also doing a standalone Path to Glory supplement, which is fine.
Which is like the RPG version of the game. Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, it's stuff that could have been left out of the battle tomes.
Well, and so they snuck that in there when they've been doing the Slaves to Darkness previews this last week. One of the rules they showed, you had to catch that they were saying that this was for a Path to Glory hero, because I think people are going to see that and think this is what a Demon Prince does, and it was like, no, this was specifically Path to Glory, but they snuck it in the middle of a bunch of match play rules.
Yeah.
But I like that they support, because it doesn't take really effort to support those other modes. You can just write rules for them. You don't have to make new models. You don't have to worry about balancing them.
Exactly.
Because it's Path to Glory, or it's...
That's almost what I wish they would do with when they do kill teams, right? Is it's like, don't put kill team in its own box. Just make units for 40K. And then say, this unit specifically can be used for kill team. Here are the rules for them.
Yep.
Because then you don't have to like rebox it once they rotate out of kill team, and then you introduce it to 40K proper.
Or, right. Or instead of using your standard 40K packaging, you had to make all new.
Yeah.
And then the kill teams on their own are also more expensive than a 40K squad.
Yeah.
So what do we got here?
So we got another update. Looks like it's still in AOS.
We're still in Age of Sigmar.
Okay, so we're going to get a second thing. I think it's going to be the Grots, probably. Yeah, the
Savage
Gits.
Swarm of Gits. There they are.
Okay.
Snarl Pack Cavalry.
Wow, they are a lot more dynamic
Chariots
than the ones we've seen. That...
Oh, and a character who looks great.
Yeah. All right. So it looks like an army box of Grots. There's
Doom Diver Catapult.
Doom Diver
You
Catapult.
called that one.
That's awesome. There's a couple...
There's a Snarboss
at least
on a
one
chariot. Yeah.
There was a new unit of cavalry.
Look at that again. The
dynamic.
retro logo there.
Yeah, those snarl fangs are insane compared to the existing one. Like, holy crap, so much more going on there. I don't even want them. I'm not going to play them, but I want some of those. Those look great.
They look great.
I'm excited to see the close-ups here.
Well, because what's funny is
It has a hell of a tactical rock.
I don't know if any game system or any miniature company has really ever done wolves or bears or anything in a way that's that convincing. There's always something that looks chunky or...
Well, these ones look kind of stylized. They have like beards and braids and stuff.
But they're appropriately thin.
Yeah.
And have a lot of motion because wolves are quick. And so I like that they look like it.
Yeah. Man.
They look swift.
And I do like that the traditional style.
Look at that, yeah.
Are getting
that artwork is really good.
Some love. It looks like these ones might be bigger than the other Snarl Fangs that already exist. These are like 2-man elite cavalry.
Maybe, yeah.
Like it looks like there's 2 riders on each one of these wolves.
Well, it looked like there was both a generic chariot and then a boss that could be on a...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those look so good. Even bigger, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 grots on them.
That's super cool. So you've got your small cavalry, and then these are the large cavalry, and there's a cavalry boss, and then there's a chariot, and then a chariot boss.
And now you know they're going to have a keyword probably. Yeah. So they're not going to be that weird unit that doesn't benefit in the army anymore. Yeah. Man, I love when they expand these AOS armies.
Yeah. In a very AOS way.
It just gives them so many more options. I actually think when Cities of Sigmar come back around, they're going to get another big expansion, and then more of their Warhammer Fantasy stuff will get axed.
Yeah, which there isn't much in there besides dwarves and dark elves.
Yeah. So this confirms, I think, a rumor engine bit that we've had for a while.
I think a few.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like a chariot.
Oh, these look so good.
There's like a crew on the back of a chariot pulled by more wolves.
And it's a lightweight chariot, so it's not going to be. It's probably not going to have that huge footprint mortal damage swing that like the Stormcast or.
I don't know, man. It's got blades attached to the actual carriage itself. It could do something like
those bases. Yeah. That base is probably like the Juggernaut base. Like, I don't think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, you don't think it's on one of the monster bases? You think it's on a smaller one?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
they just do so good about scaling small things now.
Did they say that the Doom Diver was in this kit or
I
in
don't
this
know.
army box too? Because here's your boss. That's Golden Demon worthy right there. That guy looks great.
Look at that pose even.
Look at that wolf. Leave the rider off and just paint that wolf.
Well, yeah, and that's what I mean. It's look at the pose of that wolf. Like they very stoic, very overlooking a battlefield. Because you know that the highest level Git mob is still a Git.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to get dirty if it means like he'd rather stand there and tell everyone else to go do it. That shield looks great. Oh man. Yeah, no, that's a really good looking kit.
Yep. But he's still very, he evokes the old style Goth.
That artwork
too,
even.
Like he looks still very much like old style Goblin chief. Yep. Like I could still see that rider itself being from Total War or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Warhammer Old World because the models don't look good in Old World. So there you go.
Yep. And so the Doom Diver from Old was a catapult that launched call them smart projectiles. They are slightly smarter than a normal projectile. Because it's actually a goblin strapped into it who is able to guide the glider a little
he's
bit.
A hang glider, yeah. So this is neat.
And he dies when he lands, by the way.
But I mean, but even then, that model was so poor, the original, because it was just a slingshot on the ground.
Yeah.
I know, but they had great limitations back then. But this is absurd.
Yeah.
This is so appropriate for the Gits.
I like how the approach path that is like almost like a wooden lattice that he's on has been greased. You can see like there's they put like fat down on it so that he doesn't stick to it. He can't stop himself from being launched. He will be flung off. Whoop. I think that's hilarious. And it's in the middle of the new models, but I'm still unsure.
It might be a separate kit
if it's
from the army
with
box.
It,
yeah,
right?
I'm gonna wager that's a separate.
And then this boss unit, we don't know. It looks very much different than the normal chariot. It doesn't look like it has a lot of the same bits.
Yeah, it might be a different
Maybe
kit.
It's a different kit. Yeah, I couldn't say if it's the same kit or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. So at least it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new units at least.
Here's another. It's a wizard.
Huh.
So that looks like the same kit as the boss.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you can make either a shaman or a regular warlord on a chariot.
Love it. Yeah.
Great dual purpose.
So
kit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new kits. 6 new units.
Yeah, really expanding on that Snarlfang side. And I wonder if this is one of those that they had in the wings for a while, but they couldn't decide, do we want to update Old World Greenskins or do we want to bring these to Age of Sigmar?
Because these absolutely could have been.
Yep, they would fit with Grom the Paunch and like that. Yeah.
Here's an update to the Doom Diver. But, my mind goes towards, how much do they want to actually invest in the Old World?
Right.
That was very much more experimental
Correct.
than AOS is.
Yep.
And commit to releasing this many new things for Old World? I don't know.
So all these new Snarlfangs, and then in the Orruk Warclan side, they gave us the 2 new towers. Oh, look at that paint scheme.
That's wild.
For those squigs, that's great. 2-tone, that looks nice. Yeah, and the Gloomspite Gits have turned into quite their own thing because they have the old Night Goblin stuff, which we didn't see updated here.
Which, again, that's something that I could see going away because it was from Old World. It's from fantasy.
So
I
now we're
could
getting
see
a
it
Black
going
Library
back.
update. Yep. It could go back like Spider-Fang might,
Yeah.
but at the same time, they've got their Troggoth side. They have their Squig side. They've got the mushrooms galore everywhere, and then now you've got the Snarlfang side. So the Gits have really quite a few. Again, a nice variety of ways to play.
Yep.
And then their blacks. I guess they do that every year. The Black Library celebration.
Yeah, I mean, there's some new books coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a new one for Go Trek. There was one there for, was it Minkalesk, the Cadian sergeant lady?
The dummy seasonal barbarian I created for Diablo 4 that I wasted my special pickup on. I did name Neve, and I made her look like her.
That's funny.
So somehow that name wasn't taken. I might give it a try though. You said the barbarian was fun, so I might.
Yeah, it's I'm struggling with doing a build that I like. I don't know. I was tinkering with some stuff and I made it worse. I don't like where I went with it.
So
But
I did a bit of the same thing with my sorcerer because it was eternal instead of seasonal, which ended up a mistake of sorts. So now I'm tempted to start one over in a seasonal and go, which is a bummer because I know at least how I'd want to build it. But I reached a point where she's doing insane amounts of damage, but is like moving slower and is more fragile. So it takes less effort. Like I push like one button and then watch as my spells for the next 6 seconds just like wreck whatever's there. But then I get touched and I'm just toast. So yeah, I might not like it as much, but at least you get the respec option.
yeah, and they'll be doing armories soon too, where you can save specs, which is nice.
I
Wow,
like
the omnibus for Go Trek in the Mortal Realms is 1,000 pages because it encompasses the information over like 5 or 6 novels.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Yeah, and he's been this wasn't just like a token we ported a guy over for people who are familiar.
Yeah.
Like Go Trek has been a major player in the story
Yep.
for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, he's very much cemented there as a real character. He's
got new companions
He's
now.
got relics and he's got new companions. He's got relics that are grounded in the mortal realms. He's got Fire Slayer stuff. He's got
Oh, here's some more stuff he said.
it's like swooping hawks. It's the Eldar. So we also
That was a warp spider too, though.
that we theorized that there were aspects coming.
Yep.
There was definitely a swooping hawk that I saw there, and it looked like a warp spider.
So new swooping hawks in plastic, and Baharath probably. They're gonna show.
Yeah, there he is. That's got to be him, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I was gonna say that Phoenix mask. That's him.
Yeah. and again, these are perfect because they invoke the old, but they look so updated.
Yeah. And then
New warp spiders.
which are perfect.
Yeah,
They're
they
nice
are.
and sleek and
long overdue.
Yeah.
Long overdue.
and
Look
then
at that
what
X
is
art.
that?
They got a Phoenix Lord.
A new Phoenix Lord. Whoa, that dude is cool.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a new character, right?
That's totally new.
Okay.
He might be in the fluff somewhere, but
And then there's your new
fire dragons. So they're going
for what's his bucket?
for Old Fuigan.
For
Yeah.
Fuigan. So that's 3 Phoenix Lords, 3 aspects.
Wow. Talk about knocking them out.
Wow. Is there another one? No. Okay.
Oh,
yes, there is a
Surman
too.
Yeah.
What? That is insane.
They just check them
they're
all.
like, you know what? Let's not. Choose.
We don't have Karandras, though.
Here's all of them.
We don't have Karandras, though. So the one I thought we would get because they gave us Scorpions, we don't have him.
That's funny. Wow, though.
Unless he comes alongside booking a model kind of thing, but
wow, that's a lot. That's
we
insane.
thought we'd get like 2 out of 4.
Not all of them.
Wow.
Dang. All right. I love it.
Yeah. So they're getting 4 Phoenix Lords.
Including a new one. I think the new one's the most interesting. That's what I want to hear them talk about is the new Lycris or whatever his name is. Whew. And look at them all. They're all kind of perfect. Like the design style of every single one is exactly what they need to be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they nailed it. It's the aesthetic they were always meant to invoke. They just weren't capable of designing the models that way back then. That's neat. I like Fuegan or Fugan. I like his little mantra. It was like, well, if I kill all of the enemies of the Eldar,
Yeah.
then there's no more conflict, right? Or whatever his little his forever philosophy is.
Yeah, so genocide.
Yep. If I just get rid of all of them, we're
Big
good.
deal.
They even did the very classic.
You know what's so funny about those Fire Dragon models?
What?
Are those the new one? Are those new ones?
Yes, they are 100%
They
new.
look so similar to the old ones. It's just so funny. I think all 5 models in the kit have like the same poses as the ones that were fine cast. Like they're so similar.
Yep, they're just probably taller and slightly more slender. But yeah, they did the classic like tangerine and lemon paint scheme. But they're sleeker looking. Definitely more slender, definitely taller. But yep, same pose. They've got flamers as an option now. Seems to make too much sense. I cannot believe I was wrong on that. No Karandras, even though they gave us the new Scorpions.
So you got it exactly opposite.
Yeah.
I think we get Karandras and not much else. We'll get everything else except
We'll get everything else and not him.
Yeah.
I
think it's wild.
These are great. Swooping Hawks, relic of second edition fine cast, metal to fine cast. But so were all of them. I mean, it was the one really sore thumb in 40K where one of the oldest and most beloved armies just had super old kits.
I will point out though that there were not new
Dire Avengers.
Because they are plastic. They're not great.
No, they're not.
But they are plastic.
They are.
But they came in about the same time, I think, as the old Guardian kit did.
Well, Guardians got updated since then.
And Guardians got updated. That's what I'm saying. Guardians got updated. The Dire Avengers did not.
Yeah.
So that's
it was like it was 5th ed, like during the Grey Knight,
right?
The terrorism that was Grey Knights. That was when the Dire Avengers came out, and they came out at first as a kit of 10,
right?
And then when the next edition launched, the kit went up $5, but they cut from 10 down to 5.
Right. That's rough.
Yeah.
Oh man, that Baharoth is great looking. I like the helmet.
Yep. It's perfect.
It's great.
Yeah.
I like how they really punched up his armor and made him look so much better than them.
Because Phoenix Lords are supposed to be.
I like the darker blue on him.
Yeah.
That looks really good.
Well, it's even more ornate. I mean, Phoenix Lords are like they're akin to like Eldar chapter masters almost. Like they're extremely high level demigods of battle, and they're supposed to look better than just a slightly different version of their aspect. And Asurman, they did it again, where it's like he invokes the classics so much, and yet looks distinctly better. He's even in the same pose, but it's cleaner.
That's all they need to do.
Yeah,
they don't need to mess up the pose. The pose is great already.
Only now, instead of his gauntlet gun forward and the sword up, they went the other way. Yeah.
Makes more sense. Yeah, see, like the old Dire Avengers still look okay.
Yeah, it was still when they were entering a newer style era of plastic, but assembly-wise, I know it's a little clunkier because it's older. Like the new Guardians are great, but still, at least he's in plastic now. Karandras is the only one they didn't. That is so funny.
Is he standing on a Emperor's Children Marine?
Might be.
It looks like a purple Marine.
So they got the rule battle focus back. I guess as far as rules wise, I'm always a little. Eldari always make me a little nervous.
Yeah.
Because whenever their codex launches in every edition, it's ever happened. And in some editions, by the way, they got 2 updates where no one else did.
Yeah.
They always come out and they always hit the ground way overtuned.
Right.
Eldar. We even saw it with their index in this edition. They hit the ground and they're just so.
Well, so what I'm really hoping
overtuned.
they do is they said that there's going to be 7 detachments in this book.
That's a lot. Yeah,
That's a lot. I'm hoping that some of these unique rules that the Eldari have are given to the detachments and not just as army rules.
Did that just that just said you have all the Harlequins and Drukhari in there?
That'd be wild.
Oh, there's. Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, when he said there's one more thing we haven't shown, I was like, there's another model they're going to show us? Like,
that'd be wild. Yeah.
They're going to do the Laughing God or what? Again, long overdue. And the biggest thing is just like taller, more slender.
I feel like that unit could have just made new Dire Avengers. Different head, leave the backpack off, give them a different gun.
Well, we speculated for years when they were going to plastic all these kits, were they just going to dual kit and do it? I think they just waited until they made them all separate so that they have a distinct look. Those look really good.
And you know what? We don't know. Maybe some of these are dual kits when they actually come out.
Maybe, but...
Because a lot of the poses look very similar, like body-wise. Like with that kit right there, if you look at that, his backpack, the tube, and the gun are like one thing. I don't know. Probably not, but you never know.
There's the classic Exarch with
his open.
Yep.
And I kind of like the idea of doing the open like planar, like single plane pose now in plastic because it's not necessary anymore. Before it was a way you had to make the model.
Yeah. So here's this Phoenix Lord, Lycus.
Yeah.
What a radical character.
He's got very much like a Venom sort of
vibe. Yeah.
Like pose.
And a ridiculous blade.
It's a she?
Eldar. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
That's a...
Yeah. Well, because before the only other she we had was Jane Czar.
Yeah. Wow, what a model, though.
Yeah.
Good gravy.
I mean, it's very unique. Very different.
We've never had a Warp Spider Phoenix Lord,
well,
so this is...
to me, it's kind of like when they came out with... when they did do Jane Czar, it's like, oh, that's exactly Jane Czar. But then they did Morgan Ra, and it's like,
so
whoa!
radically different, yeah.
It's like, whoa, I was not expecting that. Because
Yeah.
he's all Reaper, he's got a hood, he's got this crazy cloak flapping in the wind.
It looks so much better, though, than the short, chunky Chaplain
exactly.
Morgan Ra. Yeah.
So much better, but not what we expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, because old Morgan Ra was just like a guy wearing a skeleton.
Yeah.
He like had a skull and a rib cage just on his armor.
Yep.
The new one was so much better. And you will hear that too in the chat. People be like, "Oh, those are great and all, but where's Karandras?
Yep.
Where's my Karandras?"
Yep.
Oh, get out.
Or they'll have a problem. Someone will already try to find a way to meme that Phoenix Lord, the spider. They'll find some detail on it they think is silly.
Oh, woke.
Right.
Oh, of course they made the new one a girl.
Yep. Even though Eldari have had that forever.
I know. Funny.
You said something there, though. It does invoke Spider-Verse vibes, which Warp Spider makes sense.
Yep.
And so it to me, it did look Venomy. It looked like it had an Iron Spider suit on because it had the four-armed harness kind of thing.
Well, and the pose was very much like a Spider-Man. Because when Spider-Man would like come down and he'd land, he'd have that like, the legs would be tucked like a spider's legs.
Right.
One would be higher than the other. It had that sort of aesthetic,
This is from that series coming to Amazon.
I saw that Titus was in it. Is that him right there?
He appears. It's like whatever story is going to be in there, I think bridges to Titus's story. I don't think Titus is like the character in the secret level episode, but yeah, they bridge it because it's supposed to be pulling from video games that people know.
Okay.
But yeah, people are really jazzed. Even people who don't know that much about Warhammer really liked what they saw for that. So,
well, I know a lot of people when they experience Warhammer for the first time, especially more recently, are actually kind of like wowed by it.
Yeah,
it's kind of like impressive. It's like, whoa, this is way cooler than I thought it would be.
And while the Mortal Realms still has growing to do, the 40K universe itself, among sci-fi universes, is just pretty awesome. It really is story-wise. Like it's got so much depth and so many things going on, even compared to other established sci-fi worlds like Star Wars. Like,
right.
That's why there's always those jokes about why the 40K universe beats.
Yeah.
And then
I think part of the issue with why a lot of those universes don't wow people anymore is because they've been demystified. They've been like over-explained. They've been overexposed. You know, like look at Halo.
Yep.
I think it's a good example. Master Chief was a really good analogous character to like a Space Marine amongst guardsmen. It's like that's what the first Halo felt like, right? You were a Space Marine outperforming all of these humans against this alien.
Right, you're
threat.
bigger, faster, more resilient. Yeah.
But then they kind of demystified the Spartans. They explained too much. They made them more vulnerable. Like Halo now is like, eh.
Well, so what's funny is like the last game, Infinite, which was still huge. I haven't beat it yet, but where they did demystify it is you're right. They not only explained too much, but then they did the thing where you create relevant prophecies or origins or mythos in the universe, and you connect the Spartan to it because he's relevant to, and it's like.
Or you give them too much emotion.
Yep.
You make them fall in love with each other, and you give them. It's just like
right. He falls in love with the AI Cortana, but then she becomes corruptible.
And then what happened in the show, the Halo show, where they were all you know what I mean? Like it's
where in the first episode and for most of the show, he took off his helmet. And then they all were like emotional, and they were all far too human.
Exactly.
And that demystified it. So it's funny is like it's a double-edged sword because these studios want to make stuff to appease an audience to keep them hooked. So they go with like a soap opera format, right? With cliffhanger. And then people want more. And so what do? Well, let's do an origin. Let's do a prequel. Let's do a sidequel. Let's expand. And it actually shrinks the universe. The people aren't satisfied, and so they need more still.
Right.
So you end up with this forever episodic syndrome where they have a decent story, but they don't know how to draw it together or come to a close. And you're right, it waters it down.
Because there needs to be some stuff. There's some unknowns there that you fill yourself with.
That makes it better.
Fill the mystery, right? Don't explain out everything.
Correct.
Don't explain where the Spartans came from. Like maybe that is relevant, but it's like with they did a little bit of that in 40K with the Horus Heresy and explaining that what's her name was the mother of the Primarchs and stuff. It's like you went too far with it. That was dumb. You explained it too much.
Not only that, but then how do you bring it home? Well, the best they could come up with was she was upset at what his plan was for the Primarchs, so she just in an instant scattered them.
Yeah.
And so it like ruined the mystery of what happened to them and how he had to go on the hunt for them all. And it did. It shrank. It actually shrinks the universe. It doesn't make it better to explain it all.
Right.
Whereas,
because then if it's not a satisfying explanation, then you're like, oh well, I wish you didn't explain it then.
Right.
But we already did. Now it's out there. Now it exists.
Well, and so one area where they haven't quite ruined it, for example, would be like the Tyranids. They thankfully don't give us an origin story. Mm-hmm. They thankfully are not claiming that Chaos or the old ones or somebody made them. You keep their origin a mystery. You keep them not capable of diplomacy, and that makes them as fearsome as they are.
Right.
And yeah, some things are better like that. And not everything needs a movie or a show to make it better. 40K still thankfully has a lot of mystery.
And I think the risk is going too big and trying to explain too much.
Yep.
Or trying to do something that affects too much. Like you had previous Space Marine media, the Angels of Death one, for example, with Blood Angels.
Yep.
It follows a total of 10 Marines.
Yeah.
And it takes place on, a fairly large scale thing happens on one planet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
in a galaxy of billions,
that is not a large impact story.
Right.
You can tell a really cool story.
And you can make it seem impactful to the characters, which you can relate to. Yeah.
To them, it's everything.
Yeah.
A lot of them die.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Right.
But it's like, it does not have any ramifications on the galaxy as a whole. When they do these summer campaigns and they split the galaxy in half because chaos is warping through,
right.
that, so that's a big deal. you have massively shifted the narrative by moving it forward a couple hundred years and making a gigantic new problem. You can't do that as like a studio doing a movie or as a TV show. Or small stories are what's required in order to keep a static overall narrative. And I think trying to go too big, trying to explain too much ruins a lot of that.
It absolutely can. Yeah. And then a lot of times you leave yourself in a spot where the only place you can go is trying to go bigger.
Yeah.
And
look at Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you go to universe spanning Cataclysm, where do you go from that?
Right.
Do you go back to Earth and just deal with people? It's like that's
right. And so
now.
you run the risk of either going too small after trying to go back to telling street level stories, or do we repeat the formula and do another universe threatening villain?
Right. But now it needs to be bigger than the last big thing. Where do you go big?
Or we need to make it feel like it's a threat in a different way.
Right.
Even though the same things are at risk. And it's hard to come back from. Sometimes it's good to know when to draw it to a close. And I think 40K's done that. Like Star Wars universe to me is more interesting than the movies themselves.
Yeah. 100%.
Because I'm still one of those rare nerds who thinks that of the Skywalker storyline, the 9 main movies, I guess, plus you could count Rogue One, I think 7 out of the 9 movies are largely bad and overrated as a franchise. The universe itself is interesting because there's still spots that are mystery.
I think there were some interesting things in some of the shows they did.
Yep.
Right? Like Andor wasn't great.
Mandalorian had moments.
Mandalorian had moments.
Yep.
Book of Boba Fett was again had some moments. I didn't like the.
I hear a lot of the novels were good, but I haven't read them.
The Hot Rod gang riding on the Vespas. That was kind of silly.
Yeah.
Going into some of the backstory of the Sand People was cool.
Well, you know what would have been cool about when they did the Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
If it just would have been a random mercenary or a random trader guy and not specifically Han Solo, it's just something from the sect of the Star Wars universe. I actually think that would have made it more interesting.
I think if they revealed that it was Han Solo at the end and you didn't know it the whole time,
that'd have been fine.
That'd have been fine. Or if it just followed Woody Harrelson the whole time and not the Han Solo character, right? Like anything, and just call it. Well, something,
and that's so. Now connect these two. Like when you just talked about that Angels of Death story, by doing a small story in the huge universe, it became interesting. Yeah. And Star Wars has the ability to do that.
Right.
But sometimes you ruin it because you name drop the main arc, right? And I think too many universes do that. Whereas 40K keeps having this appeal because there's so much to it that is small within the bigger picture, not having a global impact.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just gotta fill it to capacity until it's stuffed and it can't eat anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Speaking of which, I could stuff my capacity.
Yeah.
We kind of recorded here over lunchtime, so
let's go take care of that.
Ghost gets me. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I hope you
go look at the beautiful previews online.
Go see it yourself. Mm-hmm. Definitely go and look. Our talking about it doesn't do the justice of what we saw tonight.
Yeah, the models were great. This was a great preview.
Best takeaway was it's back to how it was.
It's back,
and it was great. So many new things that we weren't really expecting. Looks phenomenal. So take care. We'll see you next week. Let's go eat.
Thanks for joining. We hope you enjoyed. Follow us for more of our weekly episodes on YouTube Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbean. You can follow myself and Llama on Instagram. We are at Llama Paints Minis and Hyena Paints Minis. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.